You want her to choose you and to see you and to pick you, to tell you without hesitation that you're the one. And it's a longing that's so deep, it almost feels like it's baked into our bones. And this craving to be chosen isn't just about romance, I think. It's about something far bigger. The hunger to feel worthy, to feel seen, to feel like you matter in a way that no rejection can undo. But then here's the truth that most men never want to face, and that is that you keep waiting for her to choose, potentially, that she'll choose you while you keep abandoning yourself. You dream of being someone's first choice, but you've literally spent years making yourself the last priority. You want her to accept you completely, but you keep silencing the parts of yourself that just want to survive. So you expect loyalty from her, but you break loyalty with yourself every single day. And no matter how much you wish it weren't true, it most likely is, isn't it? You can't be chosen by someone else if you won't even choose yourself first. This is the paradox that traps so many men in these invisible cycles of loneliness and confusion. See, the more you try to be what you think that she wants, like agreeable or easily or non-threatening, the more you, in essence, vanish. I mean, you're there, but you're not there. You're breathing, but you're not really alive. You're talking, but you're not really saying anything real. You're trying to build connection while quietly you're disappearing. And then you wonder why it feels like no one ever really sees you. It's because they don't. Because you're not letting them. You're not letting them, you're not letting yourself be like fully present. You're showing up half alive, maybe half honest, half in. And you know what happens to half truths in relationships, right? They in essence crumble. They wither. They leave you emptier than before. So this habit, this quiet habit of abandoning yourself, it didn't start yesterday. It started the first time that you learned that being real came at a cost. And maybe it was a father who mocked your sensitivity. Maybe it was a mother who only loved you when you performed well. Perhaps it was a friend who laughed when you showed them who you really were. And somewhere along the way, you got the message. It's not safe to be me. And so you learned the survival skill that every man seems to learn, and that is how we shrink, how we hide, how we abandon ourselves before anyone else can do so. And maybe if you're smaller, you thought, it'll hurt less. Maybe if you're more agreeable, you thought, at least I'll be liked. Perhaps if you don't make waves, you'll finally be loved, is what you thought. But you see, survival skills aren't living skills. And what helped you survive the past may now be what's killing your future. You want love, like real love? You can't have it if you're not even in the room. You can't be chosen if you've already left yourself behind. So just take a moment with me, if you would, just to ground. Because I know this cuts deep. Most men don't even realize how often they abandon themselves. And it looks so normal. You say yes when you actually mean no. And you laugh at jokes that are in essence hurting you. And you chase women who don't value you. And you stay silent when something really matters and needs to be spoken to. And it's death by these 1,000 self-betrayals. And slowly and quietly you teach yourself that I am not worth staying for. And if you can't stay for yourself, how can you expect anyone else to? But I want to look at the real cost of self-abandonment, not just in love, but in your sense of worth, your ability to lead, your capacity even for intimacy. Because if you don't heal this aspect, if you don't reclaim the loyalty that you owe yourself, you'll keep repeating those same lonely patterns no matter who you meet. But let's talk about the cost, shall we? Because self-abandonment is not free. It might feel easier in the moment, perhaps. It might even feel safer, but it's robbing you every single day of the life that you could be living. But first, let's name the most obvious price, shall we? And that is, you lose trust with yourself. Every time you say yes when you mean no, you're teaching yourself that my boundaries don't matter. Every time that you downplay what you want, you're in essence telling yourself, my desires are too much. And every time you hide what you really feel, again, you're reinforcing that belief. My emotions are a threat. And over time, you stop trusting your own instincts. Over time, you stop believing in your own voice. And you become a stranger to yourself, second guessing every second decision and every need, and distrusting every emotion. And you become a man who is technically alive, but emotionally who is one who's exiled. And here's the thing. Women, at least the kind of women that you want, they can feel that. They can sense that. They sense the hesitation or the self-doubt, the empty spaces where conviction should be. And they don't see someone who's a safe partner. They see a man who is at war with himself. And no one can relax into love with someone who's already halfway gone. And it's not just self-trust that you lose. You also lose something even more vital, I would say. And that's your capacity for intimacy. See, intimacy isn't about being a perfect companion or one with perfect compatibility. It's not about finding the one person who magically understands you without even the need for words. Intimacy is about this. It's about asking, can I stay with myself while letting you see me? If you can't stay with yourself, if you can't hold your own truth in the presence of another human being, then real intimacy is impossible. You see, without self-trust, intimacy feels unsafe. Without self-acceptance, connection feels threatening. Without loyalty to your own heart, every moment with another person feels like a potential betrayal that's just waiting to happen. So you crave closeness, but it terrifies you. You want to be known, but you're terrified of being rejected. You long to be loved, but deep down you suspect that you're unlovable. And so you do what you've always done. You hide, and you perform, and you abandon. And you think, if you can just be easy enough, or accommodating enough, or agreeable enough, maybe then you'll finally be chosen. But what you're actually doing is making yourself a placeholder and not a partner. You're not offering yourself. What you're offering is a mask, a role. You're offering a shape that fits into someone else's life, but not necessarily your own. And masks, they can't love. Masks can't be loved. And this is why love keeps slipping through your fingers. It's not because you're broken. It's not because you're not good enough. But it's because you're not showing up as you. You've been trained, maybe by pain, maybe by fear, but you've been trained to believe that your full self is a liability, that your truth is too risky, and that your realness will scare people away. But here's the irony. The thing that you're most afraid to reveal is the thing that the world actually sets you, it's the thing that actually sets you free in this world. The thing that would make love possible is this thing that you have inside of you. Not love for the version of yourself that performs, and it's not the love that of the version that pleases others, but love for you. Love for you as you presently are. And if you want to be chosen, the real you, you have to choose that. You have to choose yourself first. You have to choose yourself fully, like immerse yourself in you relentlessly, gently, tenderly. You have to become a man who refuses to abandon himself, no matter the risk, no matter the fear, no matter how vulnerable it feels. Because the only love that is worth having is the love that sees all of you, not just the mask that you're used to wearing. I want to dive a bit now into how to stop abandoning yourself. Like, what does it really look like to build self-loyalty in a way that feels genuine and not performative? And I also want to talk about why self-loyalty is the foundation, not just for love, but for every meaningful thing that you want in life. But let's dive into this. Let's get practical now, shall we? Because understanding the problem is not enough. We've just kind of covered that part now. But we need now to know how to stop abandoning ourselves, how to rebuild the loyalty that we were never really taught to give ourselves. See, self-loyalty isn't a switch that you flip. Self-loyalty is like a practice, a habit, a muscle that you have to strengthen, sometimes slowly or awkwardly and painfully at first. And it starts here. It starts by you telling yourself the truth. You can't build loyalty on lies. You can't stay with yourself if you're constantly gaslighting your own reality. You can't perform real trust if you keep pretending that you don't feel what you feel or want what it is that you want. And so the first step is radical honesty. What do you really want? What do you really feel? What are you really afraid of? Like, with no filters, if you could describe that with no justifications, if you could give full expression to that. No, is it saying, no, I shouldn't feel this way or I shouldn't want that? No, we want the truth. We want the messy, inconvenient humanity that is you. Because if you can't tell yourself the truth in private, how can you ever show up in truth with someone else? And secondly, stay when it gets uncomfortable. We want to run away. See, self-abandonment always happens at the edge of discomfort, though. And it's at that moment when telling the truth feels risky, when asking for what you need feels terrifying, when showing your real feelings feels like walking naked into a battlefield. That's where most men will bail. That's where they will shrink. That's where they'll minimize and they'll ghost themselves. But if you want real love, if you want real life, you have to stay. Stay with the discomfort that you're presently in. Stay with the vulnerable feeling that you're experiencing. Stay with the messy and the terrifying and the humanity of all of you. See, discomfort isn't a sign that you're doing something wrong. It's actually a sign that you're finally doing something real. And then thirdly, refuse to negotiate your worth. I love this. Refuse to negotiate worth. Most self-abandonment starts when you believe that you have to earn your right to exist. Where you think you have to impress her or prove yourself or earn love or even deserve kindness. But that's hogwash. You don't have to do any of that. Your worth is not a negotiation. It's not up for debate. It's not a reward for good behavior. Are you hearing me? Your worth is inherently there. You are worthy. Even when you are messy, you are worthy. Even when you're scared, your worth was not affected. Even when you were imperfect, that had nothing to say on your worth. The moment you stop making your worth a bargaining chip is the moment that you stop abandoning yourself. So you stop asking others to validate you, right? You start instead showing up already knowing that you are enough. And when you live from that place, something incredible happens. And that is you attract people who are drawn to your wholeness, not to your performance, but to your entireness. Fourth, practice small acts of loyalty, self-loyalty. You don't have to overhaul your whole life in one evening. Start small. Say no when you mean it, for example. Say when it feels awkward. Speak up about what you want, even when your voice is not holding. Rest when you're tired, right? Even when guilt whispers that you should be doing more. Hold yourself when you're hurting. Give yourself space. Instead of abandoning yourself to distraction or numbness, say, hey, this is legitimate and I'm gonna feel this. You see, every small act of loyalty is a brick. And the more bricks you reassemble and build, you're building this home where it feels safe on the inside, a home that does not crumble at the first sign of rejection or failure, a home where you can finally rest and invite others to meet you as you really are. And then fifthly, let being real matter more than being chosen. Okay, this one is hard, I know. Maybe it's probably the hardest of all the ones I've suggested, but it means that you're willing to risk not being picked. It means that you're valuing your own self-loyalty over someone else's approval. It means that you're standing in the terrifying but liberating space of this is who I am, and I am trusting that the right people will meet me here. Not everyone will. Some people will certainly leave. Some people will misunderstand my intentions or my actions. Some people may even reject me. I'm going to brace for that. But I'm also going to remember that the people who stay, the people who see me, not the mask, not the performance, but who see me, they love me in a way that doesn't cost me my soul. And that's the only love that is worth having. This is a real secret here. If you want her to choose you, you have to become someone that you're proud to choose yourself. Are you hearing this? Not the polished version here, not the performative side of you, which is always on display, not the shadow of you either, but simply you, as you are, in your messiness, in your humanness, in your realness. Okay? I want to sort of land the plane here by talking about what life looks like on the other side of self-loyalty. The kind of love or purpose or power that becomes possible when you finally stop abandoning yourself. And why this is the ultimate move toward intimacy. Not just in romance per se, but in every relationship that actually matters. So, what happens when you stop abandoning yourself? What does life, like real life, what does real life look like on the other side when you stop abandoning yourself? Well, first, I would say you move from chasing to attracting. When you abandon yourself, love always feels like this chase, and you're just yearning for it. You're running after approval, and you're scrambling for validation that is in the hands of others. You're hustling for scraps of attention that others may drop for you. Constantly asking, am I enough now? How about now? But when you're loyal to yourself, when you're anchored in your own sense of worth, you stop chasing. You start instead attracting. Not because you've become perfect. It's not because you have mastered some secret technique. No. It's because self-loyalty is magnetic. Presence is magnetic. Self-trust is is so attractive. People are driven to what feels solid or what feels real. And when you're no longer leaking neediness or hiding insecurity behind like this performance, you become the kind of man that others feel safe around and curious about. And you don't have to force this. You don't have to fake it, because they'll tell. You just have to be it. Secondly, you experience intimacy without feelings of terror. You see, for so many men, intimacy feels so terrifying, right? And it's not because they want it, but it's because they never learned how to stay with themselves in the face of intimacy. They think that intimacy means vulnerability or exposure or risk or danger. And it does, yes. And it also means this though too. It means I can hold myself steady, even while you may see me. When you stop abandoning yourself and you don't flinch every time someone gets close, this transformation happens. You don't panic when someone wants to know you now because they are interested in the real you. You don't self-sabotage just to avoid being hurt, because you can stay. You can receive. You can love and be loved without disappearing. Because you know that even if love ends, even if connection falters, even if things get messy, you will not leave yourself. And that makes intimacy not a battlefield, it makes it a home. Thirdly, you are committed to leading with integrity. See, self-loyalty isn't just about personal happiness. It's the foundation of leadership, of purpose, of impact. A man who is loyal to himself, who refuses to betray his values and his truth and his integrity, this is a man who can be trusted. He can be trusted by women. He can be trusted by his friends. He can be trusted by the community he's in, or even by the world as he builds up his integrity. He's not blown around by approval. He's not swayed by fear. He's not controlled by desperate need to be liked. He instead moves from within, and he acts from principle, and he lives in alignment with what matters, not just what's easy. And that kind of man, he's rare. He is steady. He's real. He changes everything that he touches. And then fourthly, you belong to yourself, and you invite others to belong with you. Belonging is one of those deepest of human needs, isn't it? But most people seek it in the wrong order. They try to belong to others first before they actually belong to themselves. That's backwards. And so they twist it, and they shrink, and they shapeshift, and yield. But true belonging is not earned through abandonment. True belonging is built on the foundation of self-loyalty. When you begin to belong to yourself, like fully and unapologetically, you're creating the space where others can also belong with you. It's not because they control you. It's not because they complete you, but it's because they see you and they join you in your wholeness. This is what's possible. This is what's waiting. Not just better dates, not just more attention, but real connection, real love, a real life. But it starts here, doesn't it? It starts off with you when you choose to stop abandoning yourself and you choose yourself, every messy, glorious, unfinished part of yourself. So choose yourself, not just when it's easy, but especially when it's terrifying. Choose yourself, not because it guarantees that you'll be loved by others, but because it guarantees that you will be loved by the one person who matters most. And that's you. So if this hit home, if you're realizing just how often you've left yourself behind, know this, it's not too late. you you can begin again. You can build loyalty to yourself brick by brick, choice by choice. You can become the man that you were meant to be, not the version that you were trained to perform. And if you're ready to go even deeper, to learn how to build self-loyalty in a way that changes not just your relationships, but your life, I want you to stay tuned because I am developing a course and a community that will be by way of subscription, specifically for men like you, men who are ready to stop chasing for approval and to start living from wholeness. So if you're interested, let me know, because if there's enough demand, I want to make this possible. And in the meantime, I want you to keep watching, because in this series that we're getting into now, we're going to keep exploring deeper, true connection, and how it's not just about being chosen, but it's about becoming the kind of man who can choose himself first, with integrity, with intimacy as his foundation. So this isn't the end, it's just the beginning. And I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for watching.